in a creek where there ain't nobody.
Welcome to the Nothing Finer podcast. I'm your host, Rick Beach, along with Austin Allen, and we got something else. We got Jud Kelly in here with us.
Hey.
What's up?
So, Austin, hey, it's been a couple weeks.
Yep.
But spring camp starts on the 17th next week.
Yep, it's great.
So now we're looking into, we're going to be back at it every week. We had a little bit of a every other week thing during the off season.
Yeah.
Now the season's kicking off. Next week, the preseason's kicking off with the camp. We're going to have to get some more content coming in.
Yep.
This is episode 43, the Tony Taylor episode.
Yeah.
I ain't going to lie, I like me some Tony Taylor back in 06, 07. It was a fun thing to watch. Every time I see 43, a lot of people think about Richard Petty. Nah.
Tony Taylor.
Not in Dog Nation. We think about Tony Taylor with that 43. So, yeah, I mean, I was just thinking, what to talk about today, and I wanted to talk about the hires that we've made, and, of course, the Scott Cochran thing just won't go away, mainly because Bama fan.
Right.
AL online, the AL.
Let it go.
It's not going to be something that dies for a while. It'll last till September 19th at least.
Well, you expect it that week, but it's like Bama fans just want to harp on it. Then when they hire their guy, whatever his name is.
Yeah, now he's the best to ever do it.
Yeah, he looks like he's on roids, dude.
And Alabama should have let Cochran go a long time ago.
I get they've had a lot of injuries, and that is worrisome. But we didn't hire him as a strength and conditioning coach. Like, okay, you got hurt. Maybe he did suck at that.
Yeah.
But we're bringing him in for special teams coordinator, which I've read he ran.
Coach.
Yeah, he ran the scout team, special teams at Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not something totally new. And he's a football guy. But I'm looking at it from the energy that he brings. Then you look at the energy Matt Luke and how much that plays into. We saw it with Dan Lanning a couple of years ago. A lot of these hires that Kirby's made is these high energy guys on the field, and they bring the energy, they bring the juice. To go back to Coley could be in there on the recruiting trail. And also, I was wondering, would you see how much that plays into these guys that Kirby's hiring?
I think that's probably one of the main criteria he's looking into. I would say just based off of how energetic Matt Luke was at the bowl game.
Yeah,
I was just looking at some video on Twitter of him at the bowl game today, and he was real fired up. And I'm sure he barely knew everybody's name at that point. So I'm sure that's what Kirby's going for, is just trying to get more guys to buy in on a team level and not a work for myself type deal. It seems like we've had some guys come in and try and focus on them, but which is no problem. But you got to put the team first, and I think that's the kind of thing Scott Cochran's definitely good at, a master motivator, and it looks like Matt Luke can kind of be that kind of dude too. So
yeah, and
it's needed. I mean, the offensive line was pretty stale and things like that. So I think this new energy is, it's all something Kirby's seen for a while, and he's just going to attack it. So
yeah, you're bringing in not just the high energy with Matt Luke, even with Cochran, but especially with Matt Luke. You look at the experience coming in, head coach, and plus the offensive line experience. And even to look at it a little deeper, if you want to think about the hire, he was on the Ole Miss teams that beat Alabama.
Yeah.
And what was it, 14 and 15. So it is, in a way, finding more ways, whether it's the number one reason you hire a guy, which I think is the energy and the knowledge of football. But, having the thing to beat Bama definitely plays into it when Kirby's looking at these guys, because that's something he's really big on, knowing he has to be able to do.
Yeah, I think that's a big deal. It seems like at this point in Saban's career, all roads lead to Bama.
Yeah.
When you're trying to become the new king of the SEC, and that's just the way it is. And as many ties as he's had to different coaches, it's just going to continue to grow in that manner.
I kind of feel Saban's going to go at this until he's taken off by a former Saban coach.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not just saying he'll lose one time, but I'm really looking at, say if we beat him September 19th, Kirby gets him. Then he loses to Jimbo Fisher. And then say he lost to Kirby Gunner. He didn't make the SEC championship. Would that kind of lead him to, saying this is the end of my regime kind of thing, going that my prodigal son, Kirby, which there's no way around it. That is who he is to Nick Saban. Nick Saban knows that's his son who come through the football ranks. I've lost to him. Now it's time to get out of here. The one I've built up has made it. Judge, you ever think about it looking at it that way, or is that just digging too deep?
No, not at all. But, kind of going back a little bit on the energy level, kind of the bowl game, I think it was fourth down, and I believe Baylor fumbled. And I know we stopped them, but just how fired up Dan Lanning was on the sideline over it.
Yeah.
As far as, Nick Saban. I really do think that after September, if Georgia beats Alabama, I wouldn't put it too far out there for Saban to pull a Steve Spurrier.
Well,
I mean, why wouldn't he? I mean,
but the Wheels would really have to, because if they lost to Georgia in September,
they'd have to lose twice.
Yeah, because you got to think at that point you still have, that's your first conference game. You still got 7 more to go, and you still got a legit shot at getting another chance at Georgia in the SEC title game, which that's their motivate. Now, if the wheels completely came off and say Lane Kiffin beat him, then he'd be looking at something where, and then Gus, of course, beat.
Yeah, I mean, that's how. I mean, if it's no playoffs again, I think that's going to push pretty much.
But I don't see Bama having 8 wins. You know what I'm saying? I think they'll have a pretty good season. And plus, we've talked about it before. The West, we're really not sure what the West has after. We know Alabama's going to be good. They get Dylan Moses. They got a pretty good team coming, a real good team coming back.
Yeah.
But we don't really know about LSU. We don't really know how. I mean, they'll have some good talent, but they're not going to be near what they were last year, of course. No. But Auburn's kind of intriguing to me on what they're going to be like, because their offense is going to be improved. But how well is that defense going to be?
Yeah, I mean, the West is really going to be interesting, and what does LSU have coming back? It's crazy to me is how much they lost. Really, man, it's insane, and that's going to be.
But not just
that's going to be so hard for Coach O to recover from, and Miles Brennan. It seems like he's been there for like 12 years. I do not trust in this dude at all. I mean, this man got skipped over by everybody. The towel boy skipped him over, so it's just crazy to me how much they lost, really.
But with LSU, it's not just the player level; it's at the coaching level as well, because they lost, pretty much the fire that.
How good is Coach O?
Yeah, they lost.
Brady brought in.
Yeah,
how good is Coach O? I mean, let's just be real. Is he this much improved? I mean, we know Ole Miss was his first gig, and a lot of coaches struggle with their first gig.
Yeah.
And they're given that. Okay, that's your first job. Other than Kirby Smart, most people has been allowed to have some kind of growing pains.
Right.
And, Dabo Swinney really wasn't allowed it, but he made up for it.
Yeah.
Obviously now. But, is Coach O really that much improved? Or did he just get hot with the Brady and Burrows together at the same time?
Yeah, he just made all the great hires, man, and that's just what it is.
And how long? I mean, that ain't going to last forever. I know he gets the extension, but, I mean.
The stars aligned. Like for LSU, it was like the perfect combination at the perfect time.
We can't ever get that in Athens, it seems like. Offense is great, defense is bad. Defense is great, offense. It's just. Well, it just seems it goes that way every year.
In 2018, our defense was ranked like 120th.
Yeah,
and then last year, number 1, and then the offense just swapped. Like it was
and I'll never get how. And I know wide receivers, so easy to say 2019 struggles, wide receivers. But it's hard for me to say that one position group. We went down a lot. We was not good at all.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
The run game was stale. I mean, everything about it.
I felt like the offensive line was really, when you go back and watch some of the 18 film, and you see just that offensive line, whether it was the rotation, or you talked about it earlier with just the coach and no energy, if they just kind of fed off that from Pittman, and it just seemed like every game we were just trying to get to the end.
Yeah.
And you could feel it. You could feel the energy was, let's just hold on and get out of here with a win. And it was great against Auburn being up 21-0. But there at the end, you're just waiting on time to run out. And that's never where Georgia should be.
Right. I mean, we had our foots on the throat so many different times and could never do anything with it. And that's because I think large in part is because we couldn't establish the run.
No run.
In a dynamic way, at least. Everybody's... I don't know why we were so content to take 3 to 4 yards a pop just right up the middle.
But we had so much talent. That's the thing.
That's what upsets me.
You look back with the Mark Richt days where we just really didn't have the coach didn't really have the killer instinct in him.
Yeah.
I think Kirby has that killer instinct.
Yeah, I think
But for whatever reason, we just couldn't kill people last year. We couldn't finish the game off. And a lot of it was our offense just getting beat up front. And I think the wide receivers, and they were bad. I'm not going to sit here and try to act like
bad.
They were bad, and they were game-changing bad.
But there was super shiny bright spots too. But
that run game was never great. I mean, that run game never had this moment where we just leaned on somebody and they broke.
Yeah,
we just leaned on them the whole game, and most of the time, South Carolina, it never materialized.
Yeah. Yeah, there was too many mistakes in that game.
Mostly wide receivers.
Tight end, Eli Wolf, things like that. So, I don't know, dude. It's hard. It's hard. I mean, I feel for Kirby because you're trying to maintain what you've been good at, but then the way they tried to go about it this year just didn't seem like, either Kirby didn't put his hands in it enough or was just not looking at it analytically.
I think Kirby should have been commended for how good a job he did in 19.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
he
the
will
fact that we held on to that.
He never will get credit for how good a coaching job he did.
Yeah.
He'll keep getting knocked because we didn't win the SEC.
Right.
But that was a great job to go 11-1 and have us in there against LSU because we just leaned on that defense. And
Averaging less than 30 points a game.
I mean, we went from October the 5th, I think that was when Tennessee game, all the way till Thanksgiving without scoring over 30.
Yeah.
And won all but one of them games. And that's insane to go that way.
And then the one loss, really, Fromm doesn't throw that interception.
Look, we gave up
Georgia
100.
wins that game.
Georgia gave up 103 yards in the second half and double overtime. 103 yards.
Yeah.
That is insane. The only touchdown they scored that game was a long pass in the first half.
Yeah.
After that, we just shut them down. And we had almost 500 yards, but just turnover. And a lot of that was wide receiver, the wrong route, the ball off the hands. And what are you going to do? You're going to lose those every now and then. If you play that bad, you deserve to lose that game. We really didn't deserve to win that, like the A&M game.
Yeah, we didn't.
Or the Auburn game for how we played in that fourth quarter. I mean, 11 punts on offense?
Yeah.
But I guess the only 3 times we didn't punt, we made pay dirt with the touchdowns.
Yeah. And now, thinking about it now and looking back on some of that tape, it is kind of amazing what Kirby was able to do. Rotating defensive backs in and the way he just tried to keep guys fresh because that's how many plays they were having to be on the field. So if you take this Monken offense and then make it to where you can kind of sustain drives, I mean, obviously you need to hit more explosive plays, but, I think getting first downs is the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to throw the ball more. That's obvious.
Yeah.
But we're still going to have the – we're still Georgia. At the end of the day, we're still Georgia.
Yeah.
And, you didn't bring in a Matt Luke to come in there and throw the ball around. You brought in a Matt Luke, like we said, his energy, but his knowledge of football at the offensive line position. He's going to develop offensive linemen to block. And you still got Zamir. You brought in Kendall Milton. And, I think
that's what I'm saying. I mean, you're building this to make it where – instead of having such a deep rotation, you can have an offense to lean on. You can shorten up your rotation, and your guys will get more reps and be able to sharpen their skills even that much more. I mean, when you got to share reps, you're behind other schools like Alabama and these guys who are, the best guys, the number ones are staying in pretty much the whole game, especially in the backfield. I mean, obviously they all switch out in the trenches and stuff, but these guys need to be able to get as many reps and plays on balls as they can throughout the season, and that's going to be pivotal to making a playoff run. Pretty much like the 17 team, that secondary was locked in all year. There wasn't a whole lot of shuffling going on in 17.
You looking at the offense, you want to be a dynamic offense. You got to be able to score in one play, or we can score in 12 plays.
Right.
I mean, if you can do both of that, then that's what's going to make you dynamic and and that's what Clemson does so well. Trevor, they can grind you out, or they also got Ross and then Blackman can throw it deep.
Yeah.
And Alabama with Najee Harris and they had Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy, and when they had Tua in there, they could really, if they need to drag 4 minutes off the clock, they can run that.
Yeah, totally.
But that's where Georgia needs to be. But we got a better offensive line than Alabama's had over the last couple of years. And so you're looking at Georgia thinking, with Zamir, McIntosh, Milton, and if James Cook ever wants to kick it up to where he can get in the mix with it, Georgia could have that kind of offense where, okay, we got a minute to go, we can take it downfield. Okay, we need 4 minutes, let's end the game on running it. We can do that. And that's what I think we have to have is we know this defense is going to be elite in 2020. Mm-hmm. So now we got to get this offense going. And if you want to go a little deeper than that, we got to figure that tight end out.
Yeah, and so much talk's been going on online about the incoming offense, and nobody's talking about Darnell Washington anymore. I don't know what's up with that, like why he just disappeared.
He just gets totally missed, and he's only 6'7", 260 with a wingspan of enormous,
like 7'3" wingspan or something like that.
People, and that's fine. Don't forget the FSU McKinney coming in.
Yeah,
that's a big deal. The big deal is he can get in the film room and he knows that routine, and that helps Darnell. Mm-hmm. That's somebody Darnell can look up to, because some of the other guys are only going to be redshirt freshmen, sophomores in college.
Geode.
Yeah, so I mean, you're kind of looking at somebody like McKinney can come in there, and that's how Darnell can, start rolling in that. And Hartley's a great tight end coach. He was great down in Miami, He's a Georgia guy. So he's got the right coaching. And I look at Georgia across the coaching staff. We got really good coaching for a change where it's every position is. Special teams, you're not at the elite because you don't know. But we got just about elite coaches at every position now.
Well, yeah, and special teams is a team coordinated thing.
Yeah, but all the position coaches have their hands in that. I mean,
yeah, everybody gets their piece of special teams. So I'm not worried about Scott Cochran having to have too much responsibilities.
No, because you split it up anyway.
Yeah, it's always split up, and that's the way it is at every level, from Pop Warner to professional football, and that's just how it's done. And I think special teams is really a lot about coming together as a team, and kind of sacrificing what you think your worth is for the better of the team. Because a lot of these guys say, "Why do I got to play special teams?" And then so Scott Cochran's job is to motivate them to do so in a violent manner.
We talked about it last week or a couple weeks ago. Cochran's coming in because you're talking to these guys that's played their entire life, either offense or defense.
Yeah, been stars.
Now you're trying to get them to cover a kick.
Yeah.
They might not be motivated to do that.
Right.
That's where Scott Cochran comes in.
There's no stat in that.
Yeah. But you know what? Sony Michel was dang good at it.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb was good at it. And look where they're at now because they cut their teeth. And some of these guys might not play in the NFL, but you know what? They can cover kicks real good. So he could be your third string running back.
Yeah.
But he can play kickoff because he did it in college.
Exactly. And I think, explaining that to kids and, just getting them, turning it into, I don't know how they could do it, quantify it, but, I think a lot of coaches turned into a competition. And when they go in and watch the film on special teams, they turn it into a big deal. That way, it's just your effort is rewarded, even though this rep may not matter in the large scheme of things. When we go break this down, you will be recognized for what you did on special teams.
But don't think because your snaps on special teams, you're busting your butt. You're humping it down the field. You're making plays in practice. In practice, even worse than in practice. Game day comes, you don't make no plays.
Right.
But you showed it. The eye in the sky gets you the all 22. Yeah. That coach is going to get you in that rotation of wide receiver. He's going to put you in that because you're showing effort. You're showing you're coachable. And you're doing that. And that's where some of these guys got to realize. Reuben Foster at Alabama, he came in 5-star. He wanted on the field. He showed out covering kicks. Mm-hmm. Then his junior year, played 1 year as a starter, went to the NFL. Now, how his NFL career went, that's irrelevant. Special teams got him, but he only played 1 year, and he was gone.
Yeah. Well, look at Trayvon Walker last year. I mean, started out at the beginning of the year pretty much exclusively on special teams, covering kicks, and by the end of the year, you're seeing him, heavy in the rotation towards the Sugar Bowl. I think he played pretty much the majority of that game. So it's that just goes to show you that's just proofs in the pudding right there. You put the work in, and these coaches will notice and repay you for it.
6'5", nearly 300 pounds, running a kick. Covering a kick.
Would you block him, Jud?
Absolutely.
No, you would stand in front of him.
Well, blocking. That's what blocking is.
You can slow him down. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you have to slow.
I can slow him down. I can cut him off with the legs.
I bet a lot of them kickoff return guys were the happiest people that Hot Rod was kicking him out of the back of the
Yeah, they were. I would be. I'd be like, man, we're playing Rod this weekend.
Because he's bringing it. I mean, you watch him at the games, you can see how much bigger he is than people. And
it hurt somebody.
Moving.
It hurt somebody.
Third string running back ain't blocking that. A full head of steam. I don't even think you could block him in the XFL with the rules they got on kickoffs.
Nah. I mean, that's just not what you want,
but
man.
It goes back to your point, but how many defensive linemen are willing to do that?
Yeah.
It shows he had that effort. And like you said, end of the year, Auburn game, especially when he made the sack to win that game in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes a long way, but it starts with special teams.
Which is allowing me to bring it full circle is that's what Kirby was preaching post Sugar Bowl about people, air quote, reading their own press clippings and things like that, so the high energy guys are a way to get kids to buy in to, kind of how would you rather emulate Dabo or Nick Saban at this point? Because I feel like Dabo's running a better thing than Nick Saban is.
Dabo's running more modern.
Like the culture is so and it's so team oriented, and these guys are so together as a unit, and I think that is what Kirby's trying to emulate at this point.
If I could emulate anything that Dabo does, whatever he does, it keeps some kids from decommitting.
Yeah.
How many people you see decommit from Clemson?
Well,
I don't see it.
You make them feel like family. You know what I'm saying? You just make it personal.
They decommit from Georgia all the time, whether we want to admit it or not. They decommit from Georgia all the time. They decommit from Alabama. Just this week, they had the quarterback decommit. But you never see kids decommit from Clemson. And like you said, whether that's the family thing or whatever he's doing on that side.
Dabo's super good at advanced scouting too. They scout these kids ahead of their junior and senior years, and they've been talking to these guys for a long time.
That's what Kirby's kind of started with the sophomore days.
Yeah, and they tell them, do not turn in your offer until you're dead serious about it. Because we don't want to play any games. When you're ready, you're ready. If you're not ready, then don't do it. So. And I love that Dabo straight up with them like that. And for all the crap, that we kind of give Dabo about being a little bit of a crybaby and things that.
I mean, but that's
but he is.
It works.
But that's part of him getting his kids to buy in. Saying, look at it, all the work you guys put in every day. You work just as hard as the guys in Tuscaloosa, just as hard as the guys in Athens, just as hard as the guys in Columbus, and look at how they treat you still. And I think that's it gets on my nerves. I'm not going to lie to you, but it works.
They rally behind that.
Yeah.
Kind of us against the world mentality. Yeah. And that's always, we talked about last year, we thought Georgia had that.
Yeah.
Us against the world. And to an extent, Georgia did. But Georgia,
they did, but it turned into me against the world at some point.
Yeah, and Georgia's at the point now with the way they are, it's never going to be us against the world. And to an extent, we're in the SEC. At any time you're in the SEC, you're
the big dog.
Yeah, you're going to get benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
You're always going to be in the playoff picture.
Right.
And if you lose a game, you deserve the right to still make it. Where Clemson kind of knows if they slip up against a Virginia, it's over.
Yeah,
Georgia,
totally.
We'd lose a Virginia first game.
No big
Not going to happen. But say it happened. You win in Alabama in 2 weeks, totally forgot about.
Yeah.
If you lose to Alabama, say you beat Clemson, lose to Alabama, no big deal.
Yeah.
Beat Auburn in a couple weeks, all forgotten about.
Yeah, beat Florida, and then same old, and that's why I think Scott Cochran is going to be such a pivotal piece of this team. Is like, how do you really get all these kids to buy in on an elite level like that?
Yeah, I mean, eventually Georgia has to make that next step mentally.
Right.
There's
that's
a
where
mental
it's at.
block. And maybe Cochran is that guy.
Yeah.
That can come in and say. Because at some point Alabama made that. Well, we know exactly. September 2008, they made that jump.
Yeah.
They came to the blackout game. That's when they made the jump from saying, okay, we're good enough to win at this level. And they never looked back. Now, granted, they lost in the SEC championship that year, number 1 against number 2.
Right. But it was the birth of a dynasty.
But they knew when they lost Florida, we should have won that game.
Yeah.
So when they lost to Utah that bowl game, that's when we should have knew bowl games didn't mean anything for the next year.
Yeah.
But they knew, okay, this is what we got. And they didn't look back. And then, like you said, that's when the dynasty took off. But what's the chances? Maybe that's what it takes for Georgia to go into Tuscaloosa and get that win.
Yeah, I think that's really what it sets up for. Is you got to literally slay the biggest giant that stands in front of you to continue on your path.
Does any win count, or do you need to win that game? Do you see what I'm saying?
You just got to get it.
Do you need to escape with a win, or do you need to go in there and put your foot on them and say, all right, we're better than y'all?
To me, that doesn't matter.
A win's a win.
A win.
As a
in
fan,
Tuscaloosa.
As a fan, a win's a win. Just like we'll take anything, lucky drops, anything like Ole Miss that year.
Because think about how close we were already, and just to get over that hump in any way, if it's by a point or 10, I think it's a huge deal.
Yeah, as a fan, you always think, but I'm thinking as your mental set.
Yeah, I mean, if you go in there and just smoke them, that could really just elevate this team to a whole nother level that we didn't even know.
And that's what we need, because we haven't had that moment.
Yeah.
Even in Jacksonville last year, we kind of had a chance to make, and, we go back to what we know Cager issue with that.
Yeah, we know he had some drops.
But if you just go, if we make that jump, and it's like 4 years of Kirby, and we hadn't got that jump. We've made every other jump.
Yeah.
But, it sucks because it's Alabama, because the championship in 2018, then the SEC championship. But eventually we got to make it. I mean, eventually Georgia's going to make that jump. It ain't about if or they have to. They will make it.
Right.
But maybe it's Scott Cochran's the one, Matt Luke coming in, Tom Munkin coming. Maybe we need that offensive coordinator that's business. He handles this. You handle the hype stuff. You know, where Coley was more of a hype guy.
Yeah, he was.
And, you know,
He's a good motivator, but
great motivator.
You know,
he's a good position coach.
yeah.
Just not a great coordinator. I mean, and we talked about it before. Some guys are great not great head coaches. They're good coordinators. Some guys are better position coaches than coordinators.
Yeah, and you can see that, you know, with plenty of situations. You know, I think a couple of years ago people could have said that about Muschamp and you know how he was as a defense coordinator.
You know, I'm not even sold he's a bad head coach. I'm not sold he's a great head coach.
Yeah, I think he's decent. Honestly, I know he's not the greatest recruiter.
Yeah, I mean that's not his game.
But you know, he does what he can. He gets what he can get. I mean, he went out and got Jordan Birch and Marshawn Lloyd. I mean, that's two big hauls.
Georgia wanted both of them.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at
everybody wanted them. You know, so
yeah. I mean, and his coaching, getting Bobo in there, moving McClendon, who stepped out of the coordinator role to the position, bringing in Joe. I mean, a lot of Georgia obviously in there.
Yeah, but when he left Florida, people would say, you know, he was better off as D coordinator at Texas, or you know, things like that.
But you want to talk about your first head coaching job? We talk about it with Kirby. Now Kirby got a little different because he was able to win.
Well, yeah, he had.
Muschamp came in there with Urban's players, and it was expected for him to win an SEC championship.
Yeah.
Was expected to win a national championship.
Yeah.
Especially when and he didn't. He didn't even come close in any of his time there, where Kirby's at least gotten close. But I think you can see with Kirby, he is on the cusp of being a great coach.
Well, he's on that level of the elites already at his first job, and I think, you know, that's more.
It's almost on.
Obviously, I wouldn't compare him to Nick Saban, but that's more than you could say for what Nick Saban did at the start of his career.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, obviously he had to work his way
State
up, and you know, things didn't work out until he finally broke through. You know, at LSU.
Yeah.
So for Kirby, it's basically just been baptism by fire. You know, he's had to come in and. You know, this is his dream job, so he's going to do anything he can to keep it, man.
I mean, he didn't just get any job. He got it. And like you said, unheard of. How many coaches have been this successful? And you can't even say Dabo, because Dabo took, 6-7 years to win the national championship.
8 years.
But Kirby we're there. Yeah. We're right on the edge of it every year.
Yeah.
And who has done that none less at, like you said, their dream school?
Yeah.
So it's one thing to get.
First job.
First job, dream. That's like crap in a video game where you're just playing and, okay, I'm going to be the coach of that team.
My dynasty.
Yeah, NCAA dynasty, man.
And he's not just doing good. He's in every hire he's making. Yeah. He made a bad, probably looking back at it, it was a bad hire with Coley. It was a lazy hire, and his loyalty got in the way. But he learned something. Don't be loyal all the time. Sometimes you got to make the best hire.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cutthroat business. And, you know, I'm sure that's something he learned from Nick Saban along the way. And, you know, but you try to steer away from that as much as you can, because at the end of the day, you still have, you know, ethics or a code that you like to coach by or live by or whatever.
And you got to think,
but at some point, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Coley is your guy. He's been there since you got hired on. You brought him in right when you came in. Mm-hmm. He was your tight ends coach or wide receivers coach when you come in.
But he reached his ceiling.
Right, but maybe Kirby did owe it to him.
Yeah.
Okay, when he brought him in 15, come in, and when Chaney leaves, you can be my OC.
God will give you a shot.
Oh, and he gave him a shot.
He did.
He gave him more.
He gave him an honest chance.
If you'd ask any fan, he'd have been gone in October.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Kirby let him try to fix it. I agree with Kirby. He gave him the opportunity to fix his mistake. He didn't, so he was gone.
Yeah.
And I think that's how you have to handle it. But I think Kirby learned now is, I'm not doing that no more. If I have an opportunity to bring in somebody that makes my team better, I'm bringing them in. I'm not.
They come.
Yeah, I'm not going with his loyalty. I don't think Buster Faulkner's promised the OC job after Monken. I don't think anybody's promised that job, because if somebody else is available, Kirby's going to get that person.
Right, and I think that's where he's at. You know,
you learn that by making mistakes. That's what I'm saying. He made a mistake.
Yeah,
he learned from.
Absolutely, he did.
Go ask Saban what mistakes he made at Michigan State.
Tons.
And if he did that when he got to LSU. No, that's why he ended up winning at LSU, because he learned from his mistakes.
Right.
But Kirby hadn't been afforded that with the fan base.
Right.
Because he's supposed to come in and make every decision be right.
Yeah.
Because he came from Nick Saban.
Well, I mean, you know, no disrespect to anybody, but this fan base is thirsty right now. And it's just, you can't.
So I try to give benefit of the doubt to fans.
You can't
for that.
calm the craze, you know, that's come over Georgia fans just wanting it so bad.
I mean, you talk about all the time, just one.
Just one.
Just one.
It was
one.
But I don't think it would. It wouldn't. Social media, which we know is trash on social media. You go to Facebook groups, they're trash.
Yeah, well, it's just by the fact that Alabama fans are still talking about Scott Cochran 2 weeks later.
Because Alabama, nobody leaves Alabama.
Yeah.
In their mind, nobody would ever leave Alabama unless Alabama didn't want him. And
Well, it's a whole fan base of people who want the last word. That's they're all about the last word.
And Florida fans, you go watch how they are. They handle social media. They just want to stir the pot. They know there's no way they believe half the things they say.
Yeah, they just say it, and they know they can get away with it. Yeah, because what's somebody going to do? You're not face to face, so they can get on the keyboard and say whatever they want, and they know that there wouldn't be any kind of real backlash coming towards them just for expressing their fandom. You know what I'm saying?
But let's take it a little further. Fans saying it's one thing.
Yeah.
You already know where I'm going. You already know.
Yeah.
What about Tim Brewster?
That's a clown move. Typical clown move.
And where's he coach at?
And, it's just modeled straight after his head coaches.
That's a mullet move.
Man.
Why would you say #1 recruiting class 2021 in March of 2020?
And then, the composite got updated right after he tweeted that, and they was number 2. Ohio State was number 1.
Ohio State passed them. And you look at the average, they're averaging 90 points.
Yeah.
Georgia's like 20-something, averaging 94 points.
Yeah.
So
it's quantity over quality, and a lot of these kids will decommit before it's all said and done. So
yeah, absolutely. And I was talking to a buddy of mine last night, old Russell, and I told him if I was Kirby, I would go take some of his recruits just out of spite. I would go take some of them number 2 guys.
Yeah.
Just because you said something stupid.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't think Kirby's even.
I don't think
Kirby's not even paying attention to Florida.
Care. He don't care.
Florida
we see
him. Every thread of Kirby's being is laser beamed on to Tuscaloosa right now.
Every year, no lie, Jacksonville's where his mind is. Yeah. I think he knows how important that game is to the UGA.
Yeah.
He knows how important it is to him. Being from Bainbridge and a Georgia fan, he knows how important Florida game is. But he knows in 2020, it's a Bama game.
Yeah.
He knows Bama who you got to be.
It's a huge game, and I feel it. And so I think about it all the time. Pretty much every day is how big that game is to me. That's people call it inconsequential because if you lose, you could still make the play. And to me,
it's mental.
To me,
we just talked about
if we lose that game, it's basically gonna feel like 2015 all over again.
But you have to right that ship quick.
Yeah,
you can't. 2015 we lost the Bama, but
that was it.
No, you got to think about it. The next week we blew a 21-point lead to Tennessee.
Yeah.
You know why? Because we were still on that Alabama game.
Yeah.
And it stayed with us all. We went to Jacksonville that year, still hanging on to that Alabama game. And, I could easily see, like you said, because Georgia got to be ready after that September. We got 2 weeks. Auburn's coming.
Dude, I just think not climbing this mountain this time could be such a fatal blow.
Yeah, especially if it went bad.
Yeah.
If
it goes 2015 bad, that could be. That could be a finisher.
This game is huge. And, if we're talking about, and I wasn't trying to underline the Georgia-Florida game at no means.
Yeah. It's still a huge game.
But that game's big.
Yeah.
You know that game's big.
You cannot lose that game and make it to Atlanta.
But so Kirby knows to win the East, you got to beat Florida.
Yeah.
He don't want to win the East. His mind's set on higher goals. Mullen needs to worry about winning the East. Kirby knows we can win the East.
Think about it. Nick Saban is the only thing standing in Kirby's way from being king of the conference.
Yeah.
That's it.
I agree with that.
That's it. You could say
Ed Orgeron's
he's flavor of the month.
Yeah.
He's flavor of the month. Okay, I respect him. Dude's awesome, funny, energetic.
He's a character.
He's awesome.
A character.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
But he's not Nick Saban and he's not Kirby Smart.
He's not.
These dudes are on different levels. They are
they're on their own level.
They're cerebral assassins,
exactly.
bro. It's insane what Kirby is. The way Kirby has bullied Nick Saban psychologically the past
weeks
done that. Is insane.
Ever.
And they're even bringing up the whole fake Kirby took a picture of the board story again. That's how deranged and rabid these people have got from what Kirby has done to Nick.
And I'm almost to a different point than I've been on the.
And he hasn't even beat him yet.
All right, 2015. When Kirby got hired in December, people say he took a picture of the recruiting board and showed recruits, this is where you're at on Alabama's board, and this is where I have you on my board. Granted, okay, he drew the board.
He made the board.
Okay, so even if he did Alabama finished 2016, which that recruiting class, number 1.
Yeah.
Georgia's number 6. Every year after that, Georgia's been ahead of Alabama all but I think 1.
And they blame it on that board.
Class. But even if he did, he's going to play the cards. Kirby's going to do what it takes to gain an advantage. That's not cheating. Is there an NCAA rule that says he couldn't do that?
You know who else would do that?
Nick Saban. Yeah, you daggone right he would.
And it's just, dude, I don't get it.
So I went from saying he didn't do it.
How is
now
Kirby,
to the point of saying, he did it. What are you going to do about it?
How is Kirby the bad guy for telling these kids the truth.
You know what? I like him being a bad guy. I want my coach to be a heel.
How are Alabama fans have the audacity to call Kirby Smart slimy for telling kids the truth about the lies that Nick Saban and company was telling them?
Yeah.
What?
Exposing Alabama on their lies.
Yeah.
And I don't even.
So now Kirby's a snake because he told the truth.
You know,
but I love that. I love being a bad guy.
We had the best good guy ever with Mark Richt.
Yeah.
We had the biggest baby face out there.
Totally.
But he was to the core. It wasn't a fake. It was who he was.
It's who he was.
Was
You can't knock him
100%
for it.
solid, great guy. And if I was going to send my son to college, I want him to play for Mark Richt. Because I know
Absolutely.
when he's done, beyond
man.
football, he is a better man, a better husband, a better father than I could ever. He's just a great guy.
Yeah.
But if I want my son to go to school to win a championship, he's going with Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, or Dabo. And is there going to be some shady stuff going on?
It is what it is.
But he's going to be a winner. If I wanted my son to be a great salesman, I'm going to send him to the best car salesman out there. He's going to be crooked.
Yeah.
But he's going to be the best.
Well, if you want less shady stuff, then just maybe the NCAA should back off and mind their business a little bit.
You know what? I don't even think Kirby's really shady as much as he's just up front.
Yeah.
He is just up front.
They don't care. It's
Yeah, like,
yes.
Why
what's
would he?
happening?
No,
Why would he, man? He don't got to go golf with Nick Saban.
No,
he
but
don't owe
tells
these
his kids,
coaches nothing.
Look at Justin Fields. He told Justin Fields, come in and compete for a job.
Yeah.
He competed for the job just like he told him. He didn't win, and he left on his own.
Yeah.
Kirby never kicked him out of college. Kirby never told him to leave UGA.
Yeah.
He said, come back next year, try again. He didn't want to come back. Kirby just up front. And I think people take that as, especially in 2020, nowadays with the snowflake mentality, people don't like being told the truth. They want you to sugarcoat it. It's not the John Plumlee coming in and had a scholarship and said, hey, man, we're going to need you a blue shirt.
Yeah.
That's the way the
And
numbers.
he left, and that's cool.
That's cool.
That's fine.
Then when Justin Fields left, we had the numbers turn on us, and we gave the scholarship to Stetson Bennett.
Yeah.
So, it's just he's going to play the numbers that helps Georgia.
Yeah.
He's not worried about, and it sounds bad to say, he's not worried about John Plumlee. He's worried about Georgia. Because you know what? University of Georgia signs his checks.
Yeah.
That's who he's looking out for. So, I mean, that's pretty much all we have on, going with Kirby on that. I think is he a bad guy? No, but I think he plays a good heel. He fits the role for what the motive. People want to have a bad guy.
Oh, that's fine.
You want a cowboy hat in white. You want a cowboy hat in black. If you don't have one, you just make one. Kirby's a great guy. He's a great interview. He's funny. He's always cutting up. Everybody loves him. But the fans of college football need a heel. And it's easier just to say it's Kirby because he's stealing these people from Nick Saban.
Right.
And I like it because it's bothering Nick Saban. He's not used to it.
Love it. I'll tell you right now, I'm a very immature person. I love drama.
Oh, yeah.
I love the celebrity drama and the reality TV, and I'm like,
yeah, because
I love all that stuff.
What's wrong with this country?
This like soap opera of Nick Saban and Kirby Smart is like so attractive to me. I can't get enough.
I want a camera on Nick Saban when he found out Cochran was going to. That's the camera I want. And I want the opposite. I want, Kirby when he was, making that announcement of knowing what was being said. We'll never know behind the scenes. But could you imagine Nick Saban? Because if the reports are right, Saban was upset that he was in contact with Ole Miss. Then he was in contact with the Giants about possible job at Michigan State, getting an on-field role. That's what made Nick Saban mad. They had a little bit of a issue at the coaching. He's kind of riding him a little bit. And Cochran got out of there for less money to go to UGA. You got to think them wheels were in motion for UGA long before.
Oh yeah, Kirby's been working on that.
That's his buddy. His wives are friends. That's been rolling.
Yeah,
I think they're trying to just get out.
He'd probably just been throwing it out there to Scott for a long time, and then Nick Saban finally stepped over the line. So Scott was like, "All right, whatever. I'll just call Kirby."
But it's like I told you a couple weeks ago. I don't blame Alabama. I wouldn't want him as a position coach if I'm Alabama.
Yeah.
Because you don't want that shadow over your strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah, but why not just be cordial and professional?
Because we're talking about Nick Saban.
Thank you.
I mean, that's why it's not going to be cordial.
Thank you.
All right, Judd, go ahead and read us that news out of Knoxville and just tell us what was going on with that.
Well, Brandon Davis.
I don't know Brandon Davis.
The redshirt sophomore at Tennessee. He shot himself in the leg.
Is this like a cheddar bob off 8 Mile type deal?
It's a Plaxico.
initially
He pulled a
reported-
Plaxico.
It was initially reported that he was just shot. Someone
Yeah.
shot him.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Police get
Would you
there.
call 911 and say, "Hey man, I shot myself in the leg. Can y'all send
Hey,
a
man.
unit down here?"
Well, yes, but I'm also not a 19-year-old idiot.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Hey man, I got this unregistered firearm. I just shot myself in the leg with you. Don't mind coming
yeah.
down
So
here?
I mean, what does he play though?
He's a safety.
Safety.
He didn't have the safety on.
Look, we're gonna end it on that. That's all the time we got this week. If you want to get on Twitter at Nothing Finder Pod, Facebook, hit Nothing Finder Pod. Go ahead and subscribe to that page. Get on this YouTube. Subscribe to YouTube. Give us a like on this video. Absolutely, guys. We got to get up to about 275, 300 before. Man, we got, Austin, you got anything you want to add on top of that?
No man, just chop wood forever and keep that safety on, man. Firearm safety, man. Come on.
Jud, you got anything you want to say?
No, just thanks for having me this week.
Hey, man, I appreciate you being on here. God bless and go Dogs.